First question is from PoBilly21. What's the best way to build shoulders when you have difficulty with the mind-muscle connection?
You know, it's the same answer I'll give for any muscle group that you feel like you have trouble connecting to. By the way, this feels like you'll do exercises that traditionally are for that target body part, and you'll feel it more in supporting or quote unquote supporting muscle groups. So let's say we're talking about shoulders here. One of the most commonly done and effective shoulder building and strengthening exercises would be just a standing overhead press and all its variations. If you have difficulty connecting with the shoulders, you may feel this more in your triceps or even in your traps. In fact,
or even your low back.
Yeah, in my
all low back,
all exercises, low back exercise. If you do wrong enough.
I mean, how many times have you heard that though? Right? Someone's doing a shoulder. I'm like, I just feel it in my back.
Yeah, totally.
It's like, yeah, that's not good.
But you know, when it comes to shoulders, what's interesting is I often find the traps being one of the challenges more than other muscle groups, where they end up doing a lot of shrugging when they're trying to do certain exercises. So anyway, that being said, the answer is go light, isolate at the beginning of the workout, then move to the compound. So what does this look like for shoulders? You would do very light lateral type raises, and then we can get into the technique of that.
Single joint movements.
Yes. Do like a few sets of that. Feel the muscle with light weight, get a pump, then move on to your traditional, I guess, gross motor movement type exercises like a press. And when you do the press, now that you know what that shoulder feels like, because now it's pumped, maybe a little fatigued, move in a way to where you could feel it more in the shoulders, or at the very least, think about your shoulders while you press, and that should take care of it.
I thought you've given a different piece of advice that I really like too, which is overhead carries. Oh, I really like an isometric exercise for something like this.
Yes. Forgot about that.
Lots of value of isometric.
Yeah, to your point, a lot of the secondary muscles are kicking in, and so you're so fixated, regardless if you're light or not. Sometimes you get so fixated on the movement that you're just not connecting to the right muscles. And so doing an isometric is a great idea. And I think overhead carries, because it's all the way in full extension of your head like that, and you have to kind of stabilize it as you walk. Arguably one of the best exercises. So I would put overhead carries as one of my kind of first exercises priming, and then I love Z press for the having to stabilize at the top. It really forces strict form, and I would emphasize that, right? So overhead carries to start the workout, and then I'm doing Z presses where I'm like stabilizing first before I come down, stabilizing and then coming down. I think would be a great option to do.
I love isometrics mainly too if there's any kind of work that needs to be done in terms of being able to pack your shoulder correctly and put everything in an optimal position functionally. So that way too, like when you are going through these movements and exercises, like you're in a better angle and alignment to be able to connect. And I think sometimes it needs a bit of work in that regard with mobility practices and just being able to understand how to articulate your shoulder blade and be able to depress it properly and keep yourself in good upright posture. So you give your body a chance to really connect to that deltoid.
Now you've done videos on this. I know they're in some of our programs. Is it on Mind Pump TV? Do we have videos of you teaching this on Mind Pump TV?
It's a good question. I think so. I think we do have at least a few. I know the kneeling wall circle. That's there. So
but not an overhead carry. You have
overhead carry.
Carries are there with
you're
kettlebells.
right.
He did it with kettlebells.
Yeah.
That is there.
And the reason why I'm saying that is because the person listening right now, the one thing that I would want you to do is to go watch the form and technique that you teach in that, because the packing of the shoulder, the setup is
and the walking is important. He's not just holding it. The reason why people are like, well, why should I walk? Why don't I just stand still? Walking is going to make you have to stabilize
creating stability
at the shoulder, because your arm's going to want to wobble because you got this long lever. So you're going to hit the shoulder more doing it that way. You know, what's interesting about this is, as I'm thinking about this question, there's one exercise I can almost always tell when somebody has poor connection to the shoulders, and it's a lateral. People who have it turns into a shrug, or they rotate their hands and they kind of bring them out here, and it's almost like doing a clean with dumbbells. You know, to do a lateral, to really feel in the shoulders, you want to lean forward just slightly, and you want to lift up with the humerus, but you want no shrugging in the shoulder whatsoever. In fact, the shoulder should stay depressed the entire time. So your range of motion is going to be limited.
Yeah.
And it's all deltoid. It's all 100% deltoid. And you got to go light.